Welcome back to another episode of Social Climate. I am your host, Billy Cash. Shout out to all the new subscribers. Share my videos. Click like if you like them. And on this episode right here, we're talking about a 23-year-old Baltimore man who has beat his mother to death. And I hope when this young man goes to the penitentiary that they share the same courtesy to him. Social Climate. Let's get it. This podcast is brought to you by niggas who are generally concerned with most of the dumb shit that's going on right now. By the way, I'm your host, Billy Cash, aka Cole, and welcome to Social Climate. Socialites, let me tell you who you're looking at. You're looking at the face of Torian Mack, 23 years old of Baltimore, Maryland, who has just beat his mother, Rhonda Mack, to death. Why? Because she called him a liar. I guess at some point he probably came home battered and bruised, and he told his mother that he had been beaten up by 4 or 5 KKK members. But a mother always knows her son. She called him a liar. You're lying. He wanted to show his mother what it felt like to be beaten up by 4 or 5 men. This is some anger management issues. You can look at this boy's face and tell that something is wrong with it, straight up. So he commenced to beat the shit out of his mother until she was unconscious. And then from what he says to the police, he says he tried to administer CPR and she was non-responsive. So he calls one of his friends and tells them what had happened, and thank God for that friend, because that friend called 911 on his punk ass. To me, this is some deviant, demonic behavior. This boy has probably always been fucked up, and his mother has probably been covering for him for a long time. This nigga is probably the real life Norman fucking Bates. You know what I'm talking about? But after you killed your mother, you have nobody to have your defense anymore. So now he had to face the police by himself, and he gave them some crazy stories about what happened. Check out some video on this, and I'm coming back. Social Climb.
Learning more tonight about an Anne Arundel County man charged with beating his mother to death in their Millersville home.
WMAR 2 News' Jeff Hager joins us now with more on the suspect and a bizarre confession. Jeff?
Jamie, 23-year-old Torian Mack faces first and second-degree murder charges after killing his mother for calling him a liar when he claimed he had been assaulted by members of the Ku Klux Klan. A 911 call brought police to this house on Daniels Purchase Way in Millersville on Saturday. A call claiming 23-year-old Torian Mack had telephoned a friend after beating his mother unconscious.
They noticed around the slider what they appeared to be blood on the floor near the rear slider. As they were investigating that, an individual later identified as Torian Mack presented himself to the officers, made an unsolicited statement that he had assaulted his mother.
According to charging documents, Mack was covered in blood and later told officers his mother had called him a liar after he told her he had been beaten up by the KKK. So he wanted to show her what it was like to get beat by 4 or 5 grown men.
They were able to go inside, locate his mother, who was suffering from a very violent attack, trauma that appeared to be from a very violent attack.
Mack went on to say that he didn't want the officer to think he was evil, since he spent 15 to 30 minutes performing CPR on his dying mother following the beating to no avail. Police sent the body of 53-year-old Rhonda Dickerson Mack to the office of the chief medical examiner with multiple injuries to the face and neck inflicted by a son who also told police he was a black belt in martial arts, and his mother knew what was coming in the moments before he beat her to death.
At this point, it doesn't seem like there were any type of weapons used. This seems to be a very violent physical assault where just his hands and fists were used. So very tragic, and again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family.
Mack also faced felony charges 4 years ago after setting a home on fire that was still under construction in Severn, but he received probation before judgment after serving 85 days behind bars.
First of all, R.I.P. to Rhonda Mack for being killed in such a horrific manner. God knows what that felt like. Tragic. To be killed by something that you created is terrible. As far as Torian Mack, it appears to me that this woman protected you all your life. You've already had situations like in 2014 where you burned down a house under construction for no reason. You already had problems, and this woman probably looked out for you your whole life, probably hid it, probably made you seem like you were a normal young man. But you've killed the only source of normalcy that you know. Now you got to face the system by yourself. And everybody has to see how crazy your ass is. Now, I could be wrong because I don't know the ins and outs of this story. He could have been suffering abuse. Who knows? If that comes out later, I'll definitely report on it. But for right now, from what I see, you a fucking bitch for killing your mom. I know people who wasn't even raised by their mother and wouldn't do what you did to your mother. You know, hopefully you're in a penitentiary. The inmates know about what you've done because they all know. Over time, they all know what someone is in jail for. I hope they give you the same courtesy that you gave your mom. And I don't wish bad on nobody. But let me tell you something. You don't harm the people that made you, mother or father. As always, socialites, be careful and stay prayerful in these streets. And don't abuse your parents. Social climbing them out. Click like and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification button. Yeah.